Under the new RBI guidelines, only card issuers and card networks will be able to store card details of customers. All the merchants and payment banks will now have to remove these details from the system, which the central bank said have been compromised on several instances. Beginning January 1, the merchants will have to switch over to a new way of transaction called tokenization. It ensures that a transaction can take place without disclosing the cardholder's account information to either the merchant or any of the intermediaries. Tokenization is the replacement of an actual or clear card number with an alternative code called the token. This token also consists of 16 digits, just like the typical credit card number. Note that UPI already uses tokenization to secure transactions. Once created, the tokenized card details will be used in place of an actual card number for online purchases initiated by the cardholder. Customers do not have to pay for the service of tokenizing their cards. Now, the banks, merchants, and other stakeholders are racing against time to comply with the new card data storage norms of the RBI. NASSCOM and the Alliance of Digital India Foundation or ADIF are reportedly seeking a phased implementation of the tokenization mandate along with the minimum 2-year timeframe for the transition. Speaking to a financial daily, NASSCOM expressed its objection to RBI's short timeline for tokenization, saying that this would be a double whammy for the digital commerce sector, which has already been hit by the central bank's recurring payments mandate and is still trying to emerge from it. Small players, which were affected in particular, stand to lose out the most. The RBI's new rules on recurring payments came into effect from October. Under the new rules, if you make use of recurring transactions using debit cards, credit cards, and unified payments interface, then you must undertake a one-time additional factor authentication for smooth auto-debit transactions. Failing this, payments such as those to streaming services like Netflix and music apps like Spotify will get cancelled. Also, if the recurring payment is above 5,000 rupees, then the cardholder must approve it with OTP-based authentication every time it is due for payment. ADIF, a think tank for India's digital startups, gave a statement saying that the tokenization mandate required an ecosystem-wide change in tech systems and workflows. It said this policy change will affect 3 major players: banks, intermediary payment systems, and merchants. In the scenario that banks are lax on preparedness, the brunt of that will be borne by merchants in the form of loss of revenue. Business Standard spoke to Sijo Kuruvilla George, Executive Director of ADIF, to understand the impact of the new rules on merchants.
Even at a very simple level where users have to reauthorize once more that I want to renew my mandate, right? That itself, as a rule of thumb, will result in a 20 to 30% loss of revenue, depending on the kind of service you are in, right? If you're a content business, something like a newspaper sort of business, your losses could be much more higher, right? It's not a compelling service. People is going to quickly trying to figure out to do that. So all this combined, there is every indication that if the transition doesn't happen very smoothly, even if the technical transition transition happens very smoothly, we are looking at a very, very minimal, even at a rule of thumb of 10-20% revenue share, even at a reauthorization standpoint. But should the underlying technology also not work well, the multiplier impact of that, which has an impact on merchants, could be extremely high. What we're advocating from a timeline is not just the absolute timeline or a deadline. We're saying the approach could be shifted to a transition sort of a regime, right? Where over a period of, let's say, 1 to 2 years, we are completely switching over, and it will be a phase-wise implementation, right? So companies also can opt in everything in terms of educating users, create chinks in the armor. And after a certain threshold, let's say 60 or 70% people have transitioned, then you can say that, hey, there's a 6-month window to transition the rest of your customers as well, and we will only adopt this going forward, right? And in between, people have not caught up that particular measure, we can actually have a system of, let's say, penalties or levies or whatever it may be.
Clearly, companies and industry might have good reasons to fear large-scale disruption. They want more time to comply with the tokenization mandate. After the businesses, let us see what consumers like us will be affected from this new regime. Consumers are now being asked if they want their card details in the secured or tokenized format. While it is not mandatory for customers to get their cards tokenized, they can choose to do so to enjoy a seamless one-click checkout process in the future. If they don't, they will have to manually type their 16-digit card number, CVV, and expiry date each time they want to make a purchase online. The central bank has put the new regime in place to ensure that consumers' money is safe. But most important experts believe that the central bank should also ensure that the transition is smooth. As far as businesses are concerned, time alone will tell whether they are justified in their fears that this mandate could push hundreds of small and medium merchants and payment operators out of business.
If you like this video, share it and subscribe to Business Standard. For more news, views and insights, log on to www.business-standard.com. Do also follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Telegram and LinkedIn.